It used to be cybersecurity. It felt like it was something for the big guys, right? The huge corporations to worry about. But now, small and medium businesses, they're finding themselves, right in the crosshairs. And a lot of these SMBs, they're operating with, they just don't have the same level of defenses, and yet they've got all this valuable data. So the good news is there's this framework, it's really becoming the gold standard, zero trust security.
Right.
And that's what we're going to deep dive into today, specifically how SMBs can implement it using Microsoft solutions.
Yeah, so what we want to do is give you, and especially if you're in, an SMB and you're dealing with the tech or the cyber side of things, a really clear understanding of zero trust, like why it's so important now, what it actually means, how it works, and most importantly, what are those concrete steps you can take? And we'll be looking at this through the lens of what Microsoft offers.
So let's jump right in. Why is zero trust so crucial for SMBs right now? I mean, why is this such a big deal?
Well, it's interesting because criminals, they're targeting SMBs for a very specific reason. They know that a lot of times these smaller businesses don't have the same cybersecurity budgets, the resources that larger companies do, and yet they still have that valuable data, customer information, financial records, anything that's proprietary. And so many times their protection measures just aren't as strong.
And I think a lot of folks, they think, oh, if we get hit by, a cyber attack, it's just a temporary setback, we'll bounce back. But the reality is,
it can be absolutely devastating. I mean, we're talking potential financial ruin. If you get hit with ransomware or a data breach, the losses can be crippling. And then beyond just the money, there's the reputational damage, the trust that you've built with your customers over years that can be destroyed overnight. And, some of the statistics we've seen are really sobering. A large percentage of SMBs that experience a major cyber attack, they don't come back from it.
it's like an existential threat to their business.
It really is.
So how does how does this approach to security, how does it offer a better way to defend against these attacks than what many SMBs are probably using right now?
Well, traditionally, a lot of SMBs have relied on what's called perimeter security, right? The idea is you build a strong wall around your network and then everything inside is trusted. The problem is with, everyone working remotely these days using cloud services, accessing things from all kinds of different devices, that perimeter, it's basically evaporated.
Right, it doesn't really exist anymore.
Exactly. So zero trust, it shifts the focus. It's not about the perimeter. It's about protecting the individual resources. And every single time someone tries to access something, regardless of where they're coming from, that access request is verified.
So it's like never trust, always verify.
Precisely. And this isn't like buying a new piece of software or hardware zero trust. It's a strategy for security. It's a way of thinking, and it's built on a few core principles. The first one is verify explicitly, which means you're constantly authenticating and authorizing users, making sure that their devices are secure. And you're doing this based on as much information as you can gather, like where are they logging in from, what device are they using, what are they trying to access, have they done anything unusual recently?
So it's not enough to just have a password anymore.
No, not at all. And that leads to the second principle, which is use least privilege access. You only give people access to the specific applications, the data they need to do their job, and only when they need it. If someone doesn't need access to something, they don't get it that way. If an account does get compromised, the potential damage is much more contained. It's kind of like giving someone the keys to the house, but only the keys to the rooms they actually need to use.
I like that analogy. It really limits the blast radius if something goes wrong. What's the third principle?
The third one is assume breach. And this is a mindset shift. You basically operate as if an attacker has already gotten inside your systems. This leads to things like dividing your network into segments. So even if one area is compromised, the rest are still protected, using end-to-end encryption for all your data and constantly using analytics to monitor for threats and respond as quickly as possible. It's like having layers of security inside your house, even if someone picks the lock on the front door.
That's smart. And it sounds like the zero trust approach is really tailored for the way businesses operate today with everything so distributed.
Exactly. That's one of its strengths. It's built to handle the complexities of people working from anywhere, accessing resources from all kinds of devices. It gives SMBs that agility they need without sacrificing security.
So one of the things we've seen highlighted as really valuable for SMBs that want to adopt zero trust is Microsoft 365 Business Premium. What makes it such a good fit?
So Microsoft 365 Business Premium, it kind of packages it all together. It gives you the productivity tools that a lot of SMBs already use with these really robust security features. And it's all within one platform that's generally easier to manage and more affordable than some of the enterprise-level security solutions out there.
So it's not this huge, complicated thing that's only for the big guys. It's actually something that SMBs can realistically implement.
That's the idea. And there are some specific components within Microsoft 365 Business Premium that are key for zero trust, for example. There's Microsoft Entra ID. It used to be called Azure AD, but it's basically your identity and access management system in the cloud. It's what lets you actually implement that verify explicitly principle. So, things like multi-factor authentication requiring someone to enter a code from their phone on top of their password. Entra ID makes that really easy to set up. It also lets you do conditional access, which is super powerful. You can set policies that basically analyze the risk of each login attempt. Are they logging in from an unusual location? Is their device up to date with all the security patches? Are they trying to access something particularly sensitive? And based on those factors, you can block access or require additional verification steps.
So it's like a smart bouncer at the door of your network saying, hey, hold on a second, we need to check a few things before we let you in.
Exactly. And then you've got Microsoft Intune, which is all about device management. This really helps with that assume breach principle because it lets you make sure that any device trying to connect to your company's resources meets your security standards. So you can enroll devices, you can set policies that require the latest operating system, updates, antivirus software, things like that. You can even prevent people from doing things like jailbreaking their phones, and then that information about the device's health, it feeds right back into those conditional access decisions we were talking about. So only devices that are compliant can get it.
So you've got control over who's accessing your network.
Yeah.
And you've got control over the devices they're using to do it. What about protection against the actual attacks, the malware, the ransomware, all that stuff?
Right. So that's where Microsoft Defender comes in. It provides protection across all these different areas, email devices, applications, cloud services. It's actively scanning for all kinds of threats, malware, ransomware, phishing attempts, you name it. It has features like safe links and safe attachments that protect you from malicious emails. It has anti-phishing capabilities, and it has endpoint detection and response, which is basically this automated system that identifies and neutralizes threats on devices, which is a huge help for SMBs that might not have a dedicated security team watching everything all the time.
So you don't have to be a security expert to benefit from these kinds of defenses.
Not at all. It's designed to be manageable and effective even for smaller teams. So what are some of the concrete steps SMBs can take if they're looking at Microsoft 365 Business Premium and they want to implement zero trust? Well, a good first step is to get your identity fundamentals in order to, enable those security defaults in Entra ID. Make sure multi-factor authentication is turned on for everyone. Block those older, less secure ways of logging in, and then start creating some conditional access policies based on what makes sense for your organization's risk tolerance. You might say, hey, if someone's trying to access our financial system, they need to be on a company-managed device and connected to the Office network.
To start with the basics, but don't just stop there. Keep building on that foundation. What would be the next step?
Right. The next thing is get your devices enrolled in Microsoft Intune. Get those company-owned devices in there, and then establish clear rules for any personal devices that are allowed to access company data. Require encryption, strong passwords, manage which applications can be installed, and enforce those device compliance policies we were talking about, like making sure everyone's operating system is up to date.
So we've got the user access squared away. We've got the device security in place.
Yeah.
What about the data itself? How do we protect that?
Protecting sensitive data is absolutely essential. That's where Microsoft Information Protection comes in. You use that to first identify your sensitive data, figure out where it lives, then classify it according to its sensitivity level, and then apply the appropriate protection, like encryption access restrictions. The great thing is these controls, they stay with the data no matter where it goes. So if you label a document as confidential, the system will automatically apply the appropriate security measures, even if someone tries to email it outside the company. This is huge for SMBs that are dealing with things like customer credit card numbers or health records. You got to keep that stuff locked down.
Absolutely. So we've talked about preventing attacks. We've talked about protecting data. How do SMBs actually detect and respond to threats if they do happen within this zero trust model?
Microsoft Defender plays a big role here. You can set up alert policies that notify you if there's any suspicious activity on your network. But even better, you can take advantage of the automated investigation and remediation features, basically. It can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. It can investigate potential threats and even take steps to neutralize them automatically. So even if you don't have a big security team, you can still respond quickly and effectively to incidents.
That's amazing. So you don't have to be a security expert to have these sophisticated defenses working for you.
Exactly. And then the final piece of the puzzle, the human element, we can't forget about that.
Right, because employees, they can sometimes be the weakest link.
They can, and that's why user awareness training is so important. You need to educate your people about things like recognizing phishing emails, creating strong, unique passwords, knowing how to report suspicious activity. Microsoft even offers attack simulation training where you can run kind of like fake phishing campaigns to see how your employees respond and help them learn how to identify those threats in a safe environment.
So it's about giving them the knowledge and the skills they need to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Exactly.
So if an SMB takes all these steps and they implement these Microsoft tools, what kind of tangible benefits can they expect to see?
Well, the biggest one is a significantly stronger security posture. By putting these zero trust principles into practice, they're dramatically reducing the chances of becoming a victim of a cyber attack. And even if an attack does happen, the damage is likely to be much less severe. And that can be the difference between staying business and closing your doors.
That's a huge deal. Are there any other advantages?
Definitely improved compliance with regulations like GDPR, HIPAA, PCI DSS. A lot of the security controls that those regulations require, they're already built into a zero trust framework with Microsoft's tools. And then there's the flexibility it gives you for modern work environments. People can work remotely, they can use their own devices, and you can still maintain security. You also tend to see increased efficiency because a lot of the security management tasks are automated. And then there's the peace of mind knowing that you've done everything you can to protect your business, and that can even translate into lower cyber insurance premiums sometimes.
So it sounds like zero trust. It might have seemed like a far-off concept for a lot of SMBs, but it's really becoming essential, and the tools to implement it, especially with something like Microsoft 365 Business Premium, it's more within reach than ever before.
I think that's the key takeaway. The threats are evolving, they're becoming more sophisticated, and SMBs are right in the line of fire. But the good news is the security strategies and the tools to put those strategies into practice, they've evolved too, and they're becoming more accessible. It's about embracing that never trust, always verify mindset, and taking those practical steps to protect yourself.
So for all the SMB tech and cyber leaders listening out there, given everything we've talked about, the increasing threats, the accessibility of these tools, what's the one action, the one step that you're going to commit to this week to start or accelerate your organization's journey towards zero trust? What's the most impactful thing you can do right now?